So we're back on the record. The matter of Gregory Martin. All parties are present. Mr. Wisdom is back on the stand. Mr. Wisdom, you're still under oath. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right, sir. Ms. Wilkes, I think you were done, correct?
Yes, sir.
Right. And did you have something you needed to address? Okay. Then, Mr. Waleed, I'll let you question Mr. Wisdom, if you like.
Good morning, Mr. Wisdom. How you doing?
I'm okay.
Okay, we're gonna get into some questions about my father, and I know you two have an excellent work history. You worked on.
Objection, testifying.
Haven't said that yet.
Sustained.
Okay. How many years have you worked with my father?
Between 35 and 40 years.
And describe the type of projects that you worked on together. Describe the type of projects that you worked on together.
New construction, houses, his houses and apartments, and remodels.
Do you recall ever working with Ed and Charles Durham from Durham Construction?
Yes.
Can you describe those type of projects and give me an idea of what type of work that you do and my father does to the court?
Okay, I'm a plumbing contractor. And
are you a master plumber or are you a plumber?
Journeyman plumber. They don't have a master here in Oregon.
Not anymore?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay. And what type of contractor or licenses does my father, Amar, hold, if you know?
Okay. For a while, I know he's electrical contractor and a general contractor. Don't know. I don't think he's current in any of them right now. He was also at one time a plumbing contractor.
Thank you. I was waiting for someone to say that. Okay. Mr. Charles Durham and Ed, how are they related, if so?
Brothers.
They're brothers.
Right.
Okay, and can you describe Ed Durham?
Ed, they're really aggressive. Both of them.
Can you explain that? Because that might mean a lot of things to us here.
No, in business, they're aggressive.
I mean, can you say maybe assertive?
Assertive? Yeah.
Okay. Do they get the job done?
Yes.
Are they good people, good companies to work for?
Yeah, I worked for him on a couple jobs.
Okay. My father, did he work on Durham construction projects?
Yes, he did.
Do you remember anything unique about my father working for Durham? Did he ever help Durham, I'm going to say Ed or Charles, out when they might have had problems with certain inspectors or PDC?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall do you recall working for my father on those jobs or working with, did you ever work for my father on were you ever his subcontractor? Did you guys go in?
Objection. Your Honor, can you ask one question and let him actually answer it?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's trying. So,
yeah,
I think you're trying to put your thoughts together. So just one question at a time, okay?
Sure. Have you ever partnered on any construction projects with my father?
Yes.
Can you describe that type of partnership?
We have rebuilt his own houses and the apartments and the duplex, and worked on the house or the business place at 28th in Alberta. Did all the sewer hookups and the water lines too.
And he worked on 2511 Northeast 8th?
Yeah, it's something. Northeast 8.
Can you describe the type of work that was done?
2511 is which house?
That's the one next door to my mother Rose.
Oh, next door. Okay. I A couple times I had to snake the main line because it was plugged. And then the main line had to be replaced because it was broken. I did the remodel, the plumbing remodel, which includes a bathroom, all the lines, and the kitchen.
Did that include new fixtures?
Yes,
Okay.
he supplied the fixtures.
Okay. Okay. Can you give an idea of what the cost of that might have been?
The cost to me, or
I won't ask that. Just say an idea of a cost for a homeowner to change the main lines of the house of 2511 Northeast 8th.
most of that was done by Armando Garcia Construction. I was there. I had to replace a water pipe while he was digging.
Who paid Armando?
Correct.
Thank you. That's what I'm trying to get to. Have you ever done any work on my mother's house at 2507 Northeast 8th Avenue?
Yes.
What year? Or give me an idea. What year?
It's been a while. It's probably about 8 to 10 years ago.
And who paid you for that? Did my
Greg
father
did.
pay you or my mother Rose?
Greg did.
Okay. Is that okay? Have you ever done any work on 616 North Beach Street, my father's main home?
Yes.
Can you describe the type of work done and what year?
I replaced all the water piping from the inlet all the way up second floor. We put in 2 baths upstairs, a shower, 2 jacuzzis, the whole works.
Jacuzzis, are they on the back, come out on the back porch, those jacuzzis?
No, they're built in.
Oh, jacuzzi tubs.
Yeah, 4x6 jacuzzi tub in the master bath, along with a shower stall, and the toilet and 2 sinks. And then on the main bath, there was a smaller jacuzzi, 4x6 shower stall, toilet, and double sinks.
And who paid you for that?
Greg did.
Is there an estimate of how much was paid?
Probably about 4,000 to 5,000.
Okay. Okay. And have you worked on any of the apartments next door to at 624?
Your Honor, I'm going to object at this point to relevance. The issues before the court are whether Mr. Martin is incapacitated, financially incapable, whether there should be a guardian conservator appointed for him. I fail to see what this line of questioning has to do with any of that.
Okay, Mr. Willie,
I
how
can-
is this relevant?
It's relevant because there was testimony given by my sister about work on my father's properties or me working with my father that she stated that wasn't true. There's questions as to invoices and things before the court that are connected to not just my claim, just my father's disposition and his character and the type of work that he does and the payments that he pays to people like Earl. It's some things that need to be a groundwork of my father's work history, expertise, and experience, as well as our relationship as electrical and plumbing contractors.
Well, I think you made that point, so I'm going to sustain the objection. I'm not sure that going any deeper on that point is relevant, so I'll sustain that objection. You can ask your next question, okay?
Okay. Have you done any recent work on the 2812 Northeast Alberta building?
Not for probably about 6, 7 years.
Okay, and you were paid by my father too?
Right.
Okay. We're going to ask some questions about you as the power of attorney for my father.
Okay.
When did that start and how was that established?
I found out in, what was it? June, July, something like that, that he had put me on as a second position in power of attorney. That's when I found out. I didn't know he did it. He didn't ask.
Okay, was this 2023 or 2024?
23.
Okay, 2023. Okay, and were you also power of attorney with someone else in this courtroom today?
A joint second place behind Selena.
Okay, Mrs. Wilkes. Okay, and during your term, would you consider that a short term or a longer than a year term of being his POA?
Longer than a year.
Okay. Can you describe your duties as a power of attorney?
Basically, to do what Greg wanted and what he told me he wanted, if he was not able to.
Can we give a description of the type of person my father was, as far as you say what he wants? Is he a headstrong person, like he tells you to do something, that's what he expects?
That's right.
Can you say that's how he has been since you've known him for these 30 years?
Most every time we had discussions, it was the same.
And can you say that's pretty much his overall attitude about life?
From what I've observed, yes.
My sister testified that he makes his own rules. Would you call that? Or does he follow life's rules, or does he know how to get what he wants out of life?
Sometimes he makes his own rules, but mostly he just goes get what he does.
Is my father an honest person to you?
He always has been.
Is my father, knowing him even as the power of attorney, can you describe his physical disposition?
Well, his physical disposition, okay. He used to box, I know, when he was younger. You know, and he's always been pretty strong and just kept going.
Okay, okay. Have you ever noticed my father to be hurt any time during his work experience or leading into the power of attorney experience that you have with him?
Yeah, there was one time, guy was up on a scaffold, knocked a 2x6 down on his shoulder, and ripped his deltoid, I believe.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Okay, as his power of attorney, do you recall any of his girlfriends or lady friends that were around him that might have had access to his finances?
Toya, for definite, that's been, what, 12, 14 years now?
Okay, was she, when you were power of attorney, did she have access to any of his bank accounts that you might have known of, or my father might have?
When he put the power of attorney on, that I didn't know about for a while, she still had access, I believe, until he was out of the care facility and he shut the cards off.
As the power of attorney, do you recall where my father might have lived or stayed at?
During
Your power of attorney, say since June last year, 2023, do you recall where my father was residing at, his place of home where he might have laid his head?
don't know the address, but it was one of Selena's duplexes, one half of it.
Okay, okay. This was during the power of attorney.
Right,
Okay, so he stayed at one of Selena's duplexes is what you're stating.
right. Mm-hmm.
Did he ever stay at his own place, 616 North Beach?
Not accessible.
Can
It's
you
trash.
Can you describe the 616 North Beach home?
Okay. During that last big freeze in, what was it, 2021? somebody broke into his house, left the storm doors and double doors in his bedroom completely open, and it got down to, what was it, -10 or something. And when he come in to check on it, it was a sprinkler system, ceilings falling down, everything. And it mildew everywhere, so it's completely uninhabitable.
Okay. Did you know at that particular time, when you were a power of attorney, was the 616 North Beach home still in a bad disposition as far as livability?
Yes.
Did my father ever state to you, or did you ever hear him say why it was still in that position after a few years?
I know he had a feud with the insurance company because they wanted to deny. I guess he settled it. He had started trying to fix up a space for him. I don't know if he ever finished it.
Okay. Did you know how much the insurance settlement might have been?
I heard something from him about 300,000.
Okay. You purchased a home from my father, which was my grandfather's, George's home.
I did not purchase it from him.
From who did you purchase the house from?
Okay. I had a homeowner's contract with Greg, and he borrowed money against it from a realtor down Lake Oswego, Eric. I can't remember his last name. Anyway, so he ended up signing it over to Eric with the agreement that I had so much time to do a refinance. So I went to Heritage Mortgage, got that taken care of finally, and I've been paying since.
Would you consider that kind of generous of my father to set that arrangement up?
Well, yeah. It could have just, threw me out. I started out renting at first, and then they talked me into buying. So,
when you became the power of attorney, did you feel within your own character that it was something that you were worthy of and that you would hold to be a true position within your own self and actions?
well, he was a friend. I didn't know he was going to do it, but, he did it, so I do what I can for him.
Did you know the duties and obligations of a fiduciary?
No.
Did you learn?
I've been learning. Mostly it was just taking care of when he was not able to.
Can you describe to me or to the court your run-in with Adult Protective Services, so to say? What is all the hoorah and roar about and these allegations?
Okay, first time she called, I found out that I had been turned in to Adult Protective Service as kidnapping Greg from the care facility. And I talked to her and I told her exactly what happened. And as far as I know, it went away.
What happened? Can you say what happened? Or are you under a type of obligation where you can't speak because maybe you're not been to court or anything like that? Is there a hush order or something where you can't talk about that now?
Not that I know of.
Would you like to talk about that? What happened as the power of attorney with your obligations to my father? Did you meet those obligations?
As far as I know, yes.
And who's saying that you didn't?
According to the paperwork, I believe it was Megan from Adult Protective Service. I don't know if she's the only one, because I'm not an attorney. I'm reading these papers.
Okay. Have you read any papers about any allegations against yourself?
Yeah.
When did you read any allegations about your?
When I first got the notification about the hearing.
Okay. Notification. You mean about the emergency petition?
Yes,
How did you receive that notification?
in the mail.
You live here in Portland, Oregon, correct?
Right.
Do you remember the timestamp? Or was the notification late or early?
I'm going to object to relevance at this point, Your Honor.
Mr. Willie?
Yes.
How is this relevant?
It's relevant because all of us are 125.060 people who are supposed to be notified, and there's several of us that hadn't got notified. We're just trying to find out if Earl got notified and when. Was it late? Was it on time?
Well, I agree. It's not relevant to the decision that I have to make in this setting. I understand that you have an appeal pending,
But-
an issue.
I'm just asking him.
But
Okay.
stating the objection is not relevant. Next question.
How often did you get any notifications about your problems, alleged problems?
I got probably 4 or 5 different notifications.
Via mail?
Mail.
Was anything certified mail that you had to sign for or return receipt?
I'm trying to remember. There may have been one.
You know the green thing, usually. It's return receipt.
But I was working, so I don't know.
Okay.
But I think there might have been one.
Have you ever received anything from Adult Protective Services?
No.
Okay. So your first maybe ideal of a particular problem as a power of attorney came through a petition
Right.
or some type of pleading through the court. What I could say, would that have been from Oregon Advocates or Giselle or Mrs.
Giselle, I
Fosback?
believe, Giselle Fuller, and that was the name I remember on it.
Do you remember which month?
I've got them at home. Was it in April? I know that it said it had 5 days to respond, and I got it on the 6th day in the mail.
So that was late then, what you're saying?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'm going to object again to relevance.
What you said was on the record, so that's good enough for me. Let's move on. How many properties do you know my father owns or operates?
He owns beach, and there's, I don't know if it's the same property, but the 2 apartment buildings,
Those are separate.
they are?
Objection.
Okay.
Sustain. You just can't testify.
So that-
Okay.
So, go ahead, Mr. Wisdom.
Okay.
Let's roll that back so we got this for the record correct. So we were talking about properties. I'm going to let you describe the properties and the locations.
Okay. 616 North Beach, his house. the 2 sets of apartments next to his house. And if you count 2812 Northeast Alberta, it's a commercial site. And the duplex on Northeast 23rd, North Alberta, and he sold the one on Northeast 8th.
Next to my mother's?
Next to your mother's, yeah.
Okay, thank
I
you.
don't remember any of this.
Yes, those are the properties we grew up with.
Yeah.
Objection testifying.
Another question. Can you describe some of my father's friends slightly before your power of attorney? Do you remember Fred Green?
Yes.
And you remember Fred Green's occupation?
Don't know what he does, but I don't know if he was a contractor or because he had fencing and everything.
Okay, what about Jimmy the Greek?
What?
Jimmy the Greek, the restaurant owner. Can you describe him?
Oh. Yeah, he owned the Overlook Restaurant, Bar and Grill. He's passed now, but he did a lot of work for Jimmy. I did some myself on it.
Do you ever recall me doing any electrical work at Jimmy's restaurant?
Yes.
Objection, Your Honor, relevance.
Sustained.
Who did you see on my father's work crews?
Objection, relevance. Again, we're not here about work history.
Oh, is this relevant?
This is relevant. My sister testified that I didn't work for my father. She testified that his address at 2812 Northeast Alberta was not his business address. She didn't know. He just worked in the streets. Earl is a witness to this. He worked with my father. We just asked him questions about friends and construction projects that we worked on that are relevant with relationship to our relationship and character.
Well, you've already established that through Mr. Wisdom, that your father and you worked on some projects together. It sounds like you're asking about more projects with other friends.
No, it's coming up to Mr. Greek. I wasn't finished about Mr. Greek. Jimmy, really good friends of my father. He owned the restaurant, but next question was going to be about money that was borrowed between my father and Jimmy to maintain some of these things before his passing and before Earl, shortly before Earl became power of attorney.
The objection. Go ahead.
Okay. Did my father ever borrow money from Jimmy?
Yes.
Did he pay that money back?
I believe so.
Okay. Let's talk about my sister Alzina. Up until the time when you were a power of attorney, describe my sister Alzina and her relationship with my father and the properties that are in question as a power of attorney. What do you recall?
Okay. Prior to the power of attorney, I found in Willamette Week an article purportedly written by Alzina where she sued her father for his half interest in.
I'm going to object to hearsay, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Okay, let's rephrase that. This Willamette Week article, did you purchase that newspaper or did you find it online?
It was on Facebook.
Oh, on Facebook. So it was a public,
A public.
everybody had access to it.
Right.
Okay, that's different there. Thank you. And did you ever meet my mother, Rose Martin?
Yes.
What was the relationship between my mother as a power of attorney to my father when he was around that time, when he was, I'm going to call, losing memory, etc.? Do you recall any conversations, or my father state to you? I know you talked a lot about family and values. You both have children.
Objection, testifying.
Same.
What was my father's relationship with Rose?
He said she was a good mother, and that's the reason he let her live in the house after the divorce, and all she had to do was pay the taxes.
Did my
And
father?
he got nothing.
Did my father do any work on 2507 Northeast 8th that you seen?
Yes.
What type of work?
He did some framing for him in the basement. I replaced the kitchen sink for her. Put in a $300 sink, fancy one.
Okay. Did you know if my father ever loaned my mother money to pay taxes?
I don't know.
Okay, good answer. Let's talk about the property line between 2511 and 2507 on 8th there. Do you recall the problems Luca and my sister Alzina were having regarding the property line?
Only that where Greg had poured the sidewalk, it came up to right here, and Luca put the fence right there. There was never a surveyor line.
Do you know if that ever got resolved?
I saw, online that there was a hearing supposed to be on the lawsuit from Alzina, and it was postponed or canceled. I don't know.
Okay. We're going to change the groove a little bit. We're going to ask some questions. One, it was reported in the testimony, you weren't here, you were sitting outside that day. Can you describe my father's intimate feelings about his son, Greg Jr.? Work history-wise.
Oh, work history. He had you doing a lot of the ordering and the prefab work that I know he didn't pay very well. So.
And that would be from just your view of not knowing our relationship or maybe our contract agreement, correct?
Mm-hmm.
But you could say, maybe I wasn't paid.
Not much.
Okay. Are you aware as a power of attorney were you ever aware as a power of attorney that I had durable power of attorney once my father became incapacitated?
Did not know.
Did my father ever talk to you about it?
No.
Is my father a very private man when it comes to his business?
Very.
So is it possible that if these obligations did exist, he would not tell you?
Most likely would.
How long have you known me to be in the industry working with my father? Since I was a pup?
Like I say, I've known him 35, almost 40 years, and you were around working then.
Thank you. Do you recall, or did you know my father's, any of his relationships with the electrical construction industry? Was he union or non-union?
Non-union.
Objection relevance at this point. We're still going about work history.
Sustained.
Do you recall, or did my father have any contract relationships with Sodat Electric?
Objection relevance.
Mr. Willie, how is this relevant?
It's relevant because we partnered up over those years, did different work with Sodat Electric. I worked for Mr. Wilson's company. During those years, he was union, my father wasn't. I went through his program. My father was happy about that. So I'm just trying to establish, is relating to my father, we have these issues
So let me
about.
ask you this: is it your argument to the court that there's a valid, durable power of attorney, and so the court should prioritize that over their request for a guardianship? Is that your ultimate argument that you're going to make into the court?
No, I'm making that in a different jurisdiction.
Okay, then it isn't relevant if that's not.
Well, no, it's relevant, but how
I
do you?
just said it's not relevant, Mr. Waleed, so it's not relevant. The objection is sustained.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Let's talk about the hospitals as the durable power of attorney. How many different places or location was my father taken while you were power of attorney that you can recall? Can you state that for the record?
Let's see. It was Emmanuel Hospital, taken after the care facility. Because I thought they recommended taking to the non-emergency clinic, but they were filled up. Then, let's see, three times to the Fairview VA facility. And third time, the care primary was upset. We were running about 5 minutes late. He needed more care than she could give him. Take him to the VA emergency. So I took him there.
What about the Good Samaritan Hospital?
I picked him up from there.
Can you give just a timeline on that, chronological order, so that we're all on the same location?
He went to Emmanuel. Salinas took him to Emmanuel. He walked in under his own power at Washington Park, and then she went in. He was there for, I think, a week, something like that. And then they decided to transfer him to the Good Sam.
Okay, do you know about that transfer? Or date-wise, is this 2023, 2024 beginning? Take your time, we got all day.
I don't remember, dates-wise,
Okay.
because I didn't do the transfer. They transferred him, I believe, in ambulance.
Okay.
I don't know for sure.
You're correct. Thank you. In this whole situation, when you became power of attorney unbeknown to you to begin with, however, you said you did accept the obligation, correct?
Right.
Did you see that anything feels fishy or any type of conflicts of interest between any of the parties involved?
No.
Do you know what conflict of interest is?
Yeah.
Was your Mr. Doyle representing you and my father, was that a conflict of interest?
Okay. I guess according to the court it is.
Yes.
What he
You speak.
explained was that he was representing.
Objection, hearsay.
Are you talking about what the judge said, Mr. Wisdom? Are you referring to what the judge said?
No, the attorney
Okay, what the attorney said would be hearsay, okay?
told me.
All right.
Yeah.
So that objection is sustained.
Okay. What did the judge say in your court hearing to Mr. Doyle regarding my father and you? It was on the record, so it's recorded. Were you there that day?
Yes, I was.
How do you feel about what was stated?
Judge told him he needed to drop the case, basically, because he was conflicting himself.
How did you feel about that?
It sucked.
Okay, but you understood the principle.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I wanted to say. Conflict of interest. At any time as a power of attorney, do you feel you were being treated unfair with the Adult Protective Services Megan Huffman?
Yes.
And how so?
It's like I understood that she was doing an investigation. But after that, all it was her phone calls and basically it causing me problems at home.
Can you explain those types of problems at home? Can you explain those problems at home, if you want to share?
Okay, my wife, well, we're not married, but we've been together 30 years. She, after Megan's phone calls, she developed some problems, and she went to a therapist through Multnomah County, and she is on medication now. And I really don't need that.
I understand. So, you can state for the record that being the power of attorney has some drawbacks to it for my father.
Right.
And in your just statement, the effects are affecting your family with health,
Right.
maybe mental health, etc.
Right.
Have there been any financial problems concerning your power of attorney?
I found out there's an ad lien on my property. Keeps me from doing anything to it. If I wanted to refinance, no, you can't do that either because of the ad lien. If I wanted to sell, can't do that either.
Who put these liens on you?
I have not seen a name who put them on. I'm assuming it's Giselle Fuller or her attorneys or Megan from Multnomah County.
So, you are describing something that is hurting you right now financially.
Right.
Have you talked with Mr. Doyle when this happened, or did this happen after Mr. Doyle, or was Mr. Doyle your counsel at the time?
Didn't find out about it until after he was out of the picture.
Was Mr. Doyle ever your lawyer for this matter?
I was told he was representing Selena and myself as our attorney for Greg.
Do you have any documentation to prove that?
No,
Did you make any payments to Mr. Doyle?
Not personally, no.
Have you ended your relationship with Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
How did you do that?
I called him and I told him that I wasn't happy. I found out he did not include me on the objections. And he said, oh, excuse me, not that. I was informed that he's still waiting to find out where Greg was.
Objection. Your Honor, it's the same thing. It's-
It's this thing.
Has Mr. Doyle contacted you ever again?
Not since that call.
Has he written you any letters?
No,
Do you want to hear from him?
no.
From 1 to 10, how would you rate Mr. Doyle's customer service?
How about a 1?
Very poor.
Yes.
Did you know Mr. Doyle is operating without a business license also?
No.
I'm going to object at this point to relevance. I don't understand.
It's just saying, we're gonna just to pause here, Mr. Willie, because I'm a little confused when you indicated what I thought your argument was is not your argument. So I just want to make sure that I understand what your argument is. So they're asking that Ms. Fuller be appointed to make decisions for your father. You filed an objection to that. So my question for you is, are you still objecting to Ms. Fuller being appointed guardian and conservator of your father?
Yes.
Okay. Next question. You indicated you were not arguing that you have a power of attorney, and as such, you should be the one making decisions for your father. You said that wasn't your argument.
For that question.
I'm asking you right now, big picture. Is it your argument to the court and your intention to prove that there's a power of attorney that you have, and as such, that should take priority, and you should be making decisions for your dad, not Ms. Fuller? Is that your argument?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Are you arguing that, I'm assuming if you're arguing that, you're not arguing that Mr. Wisdom be the power of attorney, correct?
I'm not.
And you're not arguing that Ms. Wilkes be the power of attorney, correct?
I'm not.
All right. Then I don't think that, re-ask the question that you asked him, because I don't think it's relevant to the argument that you're making. I just want to make sure we're kind of condensing what we're doing here, okay?
If I can explain that part.
Why don't you just ask the question first, and then we'll go from there, okay?
Did Mr. Doyle, your attorney, at least when you thought he was at your time, did he ever mention about anything about Rasta K. Waleed, Amar's son?
He said, don't worry about it.
Objection, hearsay.
Okay, so that's hearsay, so that objection is sustained.
Do you recall Mr. Doyle ever stating anything to you, or did you discover while he was your alleged attorney that Mr. Doyle received letters from Rasta K. Waleed?
Your Honor, I'm going to object to hearsay. This calls for hearsay. He's asking if he recalls Mr. Doyle stating something to him.
Sustained.
Did you see Mr. Doyle receive any correspondences from Rasta in the mail?
I did not see in the mail that he had my copy that I got. I handed it to Mr. Doyle myself.
And what was that you handed it to Mr. Doyle?
Your objections?
That's what I was trying to get at. Thank you. So, let's move on. Let's talk about the investigation from the Doe Protective Services regarding your power of attorney. Would you like to discuss that or share any of these questions with us on your own free will?
That's not a question.
Okay.
Mr. Woody.
Can you describe?
Not an appropriate question.
Okay, gotcha. Gotcha. Can you describe the investigation procedure before any liens were put on your property?
I was questioned on the phone.
By who?
Megan Hoffman.
Did she discuss your rights?
Nothing.
Do you know your rights?
Yes, I do.
Did you state to Mrs. Huffman your rights?
No.
Was Mr. Doyle your attorney at that time?
No.
Okay, thank you. Why do you think you were being investigated?
On the initial investigation, it was claimed that I kidnapped Greg.
Did you? Did you kidnap my father?
No.
Do you know what kidnapping is?
Taking someone against their will.
So you're stating my father, if he was taken anywhere, guess where he wanted to go?
He asked me to take him out of there.
How often, as my father's power of attorney, did he ask you to take him places?
Probably 5 or 6 times since then.
Did my father ever smile when he was with you as his power of attorney?
Once in a while, yeah.
Was he ever angry or disappointed about anything while you were as a power of attorney, while you were traveling with him or taking him somewhere?
Objection calls for speculation.
Yeah, I don't think it's relevant either, sustained. You're not arguing that Mr. Wisdom should be the power of attorney. You're arguing that you should be. So the fact that he's under investigation under APS, I don't see how any of that line of questioning is not relevant.
Because it's relevant with respect to he shouldn't be under investigation. Had they did their job, I would have been the one to take over, and it would not have never been a problem with these two to begin with.
All right, go ahead.
You can answer the question. You want me to restrain that? Say it again? Did my father ever smile, or was he angry at any time when you were taking him places?
He wasn't angry, but he smiled.
Did my father ever relay to you that anybody outside of you being his power of attorney was meddling in his business or his own affairs?
His daughters, Alzina and Dawn.
What was his concerns as his power of attorney about this meddling with his business?
I know how upset he got when he talked about it. And it's, I'm trying to do this.
Take your time, Earl. Take your time.
Not being objected to again.
No, don't worry about that. That's on their job.
he was talking about Don going and talking to Luca about 2812 Northeast Alberta, and that she had approached him and said, any further payments on the property?
Objection, hearsay.
I'll rephrase that. I understand. If my father could speak for himself, I had him talk to me the other day.
Objection.
Sustained.
If my father could speak anytime under the power of attorney, what did he say?
That all payments needed to go to Dawn. That's what she told him.
Objection, hearsay.
Excuse me.
I think he understood what I was saying. I wasn't trying to get
You were
that
asking
answer.
what your dad said. He,
Okay,
he
okay.
answered with what somebody else said.
Yes,
So,
that's an objection,
of course,
right?
not considering what I believe it's your sister said.
Yeah.
So we asked the question.
Yes. What I'm trying to ask, Earl, is my father's honest feelings as when you were his power of attorney.
Objection calls for speculation.
Sustained.
How did my father feel about you?
Objection calls for speculation.
Sustained.
Okay. We can rephrase that one. Is my father angry?
Objection calls for speculation.
World.
Has my father said any angry words to you?
Yes.
Would you like to share those words?
About people trying to take his properties.
Do you think anybody's been trying to take my father's properties?
Yes.
Would you like to share that who?
His interest in Northeast 8, his half interest in the house was done while he was in the hospital with his diabetes at first. He was in Emmanuel Hospital.
And what time frame are we talking about?
Yeah, what time are we talking about? Just 2023?
22, I believe.
Let me just update that question for you. Let's just, because it's might be irrelevant a little bit. Do you think outside of you and Selena that anybody in this courtroom would be a better advisor, a better power of attorney, durable power of attorney than me?
Nope, I don't think so.
Can you describe what gets you to there? What got you to that point? What do you know about me and my father that would be beneficial and less restrictive than a conservatorship from some strangers or a guardian who he doesn't know?
That's the point. He does not know, and his guardians do not know him. Plain and simple.
Is that the kind of person my father is? Tells it to you straight?
That's right.
Have you ever known my father to lie about anything?
Probably, yes. But he's always been straight with me.
Do you think Oregon Advocates LLC. Knowing their history, being out of business is a good fit for my father?
Nope.
What about Mrs. Fuller? Do you think she would be a good conservatorship with her past experience that you've heard throughout numerous documentation, that she would be an excellent or a great or even someone my father in his righteous mind would think consider?
Nope.
What about Mrs. Fosback, who works for the same Oregon Advocates LLC? Do you think she would fit the description of the type of guardianship or conservatorship my father would approve of?
No.
And how long have you known my father?
35, 40 years.
Do you know anyone in this courtroom that is closer to his interests, his values, and his principles to be his durable power of attorney, irrevocable from his own statements, that anyone could serve and help my father in his position better than I could right now?
No.
Do you think I possess the capabilities to be able to talk with any doctor, any caretaker, any facility concerning my father's disposition?
Yes.
Now, what did you say?
Yes.
What do you mean, yes?
You possess. Yeah.
Knowing that I live in Montana, how often does my father talk about me?
Not very often recently.
Could that relate to I stay out of my father's business?
Yes.
How does my father feel about me? Am I
Objection
trust?
calls for speculation.
Sustained.
Has my father ever told you that he trusted me?
Oh, he trusted you to do all the ordering and everything on the job.
Have you ever seen me and my father argue?
Time and time again.
My father is in a state where he's never been before. Do you think my father is scared right now?
Objection calls for speculation.
Sustained.
Is my father your good friend?
He is.
And has he called on you to do things that friends do?
Yes.
What does he like most about you, Earl?
Objection calls for speculation.
Sustained.
My father's attorney right now, Mr. Rudolph, does he seem to be working in my father's best interest?
I'm seeing it's all for that side.
Can you explain?
He doesn't know Greg. I don't know if he's ever met him. He was brought in, I don't know by who. So unless you know someone that's even met him, how can you say what is the best for that person?
During this course of the trial, you had to sit outside for a few days, correct?
Right?
What have you noticed about Mr. Rudolph's whereabouts, who he's with, if he's working in the business of my best father? Who is he with all the time?
The table right there.
When you're asked certain questions about my father, do you wonder why Mr. Rudolph is making objections?
Your Honor, I'm going to object to relevance at
Sustained.
this point.
Sustained.
Do you think, or do you know, that Willamette Northwest Law Firm, Oregon Advocates LLC, Mr. Rudolph Law, Adult Protective Services, and Jessica from the hospital are working all in the best interest of my father, or are they potentially self-dealing?
More self-dealing.
What would you like to see that's in the best interest of my father come from the decision of this court?
Let's see. Multnomah County, uninvolved, because that's what started it, and get him not to my care, because obviously it's not working, and probably into your keeping.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part. What was the last part?
Pardon?
What was the last part you said?
Oh.
I understand that earpiece could be difficult.
I know.
maneuver. I just didn't hear the last part of what you said.
About
Can I restate the question?
Yes, go ahead.
What would you like to see this court do that would be in the best interest of my father, the best interest of his health, the best interest of his longevity? What would you like the court, if it had to make a decision, what would you like the court to consider, to stand by, and to support?
first get Multnomah County out of it, because that's where all this started. And they're over to you to take care of him. He doesn't need strangers, because he's a private person. And I've been told, excuse me, I was informed by staff that I should come up there.
Objection, hearsay.
Sustained.
I'll ask you the right question, Earl. I know where you were going. We're on the same wavelength.
Objection.
Okay.
Sustained.
When you say remove Willamette Northwest Law Firm, when you say remove Oregon Advocates LLC,
Objection, Your Honor, testifying that wasn't what the person actually said.
Well, I think I know what he meant, so go ahead. Overruled.
Fuller, and Falsback. Have you ever heard of those names before then?
No,
Did you ever wonder why no one in the county answered the call?
I asked that question myself.
When's the last time you've been to Eugene?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
Do you think my father's best interest, if I was not suitable for any reason, do you think it would be in his best interest for him to have some caretakers, conservatives controlling his property, his assets, and his money down in Lane County?
No.
Isn't it? Do you think it's interesting that no one else has ever petitioned the court outside of Oregon Advocates LLC, Fuller and Fosback, and Willamette Northwest Law Firm as their attorney? Do you find that strange?
Yes.
Do you find it strange? You weren't hearing the testimony, but I'll summarize the question in one answer, one question. Adult Protective Services. Can you make the connection of how Oregon Advocates from Eugene got into the picture?
Objection, speculation.
Well, he's asking if he could make the connection, so I'll overrule the objection as to that question. You can answer, sir.
Okay. I understand that Megan Hoffman hired Ms. Fuller and Fosbeck.
Knowing maybe not everything, because we all were clueless. My question is, on April the 18th, 2024, where were you? On April the 18th, 2024, when this petition was filed, where were you as his power of attorney?
When it was filed, I didn't know there anything about it, so I was working.
So you're saying on April 18th, where were you?
Objection, asked and answered.
Sustained. He said he was working.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Earl. I think when you're holding your ear, I'm actually thinking I can't hear. I'm sorry. It's just the way it looks, I'm sorry. Okay, so on April 18th, you didn't know about the petition.
No.
What do you want to know? Is there anything you want to know about Oregon Advocates LLC?
I'm going to object to relevance on that.
Sustained.
What do you know about Oregon Advocates LLC?
I'm going to object to relevance.
Sustained.
Why is Oregon Advocates LLC here?
As far as I'm concerned, money.
Does my father have the type of money to pay them?
Probably if his every asset was liquidated.
Do you think that's the purpose of Oregon LLC? Being in his business?
I believe so.
Can you describe the hospital where my father is? Have you ever seen him there?
Yes.
When was this?
On the day that Megan talked to him.
Do you think it's fair that Megan from Adult Protective Services is the only one from the beginning who didn't contact his son after you were demoted as his power of attorney.
There's something wrong.
Do you believe in the 14th Amendment due process of law?
Yes.
What is a due process of law? Can you give us an example?
Your Honor, I'm going to object to relevance.
Stand.
Was there any due process of law dealing with Megan from Adult Protective Services? Did she follow due process of law after she removed you?
I received nothing still that I have been removed.
What should have been the appropriate due process of law dealing with Megan Hoffman from the giddy up?
Any investigation, if I'm not mistaken, you must actually give the accused or whoever the rights. Still, I have not heard anything, no Mirandas, no nothing. I have not been informed that I'm no longer power of attorney. I thought that was due process.
Did you ever get an appeal application or anything about the process from Adult Protective Services?
Nope.
Your Honor, I'm going to object on relevance grounds.
Though I think you made your point well, Mr. Willie, that the court should just disregard this report and therefore not appoint Ms. Fuller and appoint and uphold what I presume you're going to eventually present to me, some evidence of a durable power of attorney. So I think you've made that point very well.
Okay.
So I guess I'm looking, it's 11:50, and so we're almost done. So how much more cross-exam do you think you have?
I was really just getting started.
Okay, well, we're going to stop for today then.
Okay.
All right. And thank you, Mr. Wisdom. You can step down, okay? All right. What is the next date that we have on the books, Jasmine?
September 26th, 10:30.
September 26th at 10:30. We'll be back here. That's a Thursday. We're going 10:30 to noon and
3 to 4:30 that day.
and then 3 to 4:30 that day. And then we have another day,
October 1st,
October 1st,
9 to noon and 1:30 to 4:30.
which is a Tuesday, 9 to noon, and 1:30 to 4:30. So the court will be in recess until that time. As a reminder, if anyone doesn't show up for the proceedings, the trial is moving forward without you. The temporary guardianship and conservatorship order remains in effect. And anything else from the parties? Mr. Willie?
Yes, I heard my father was being removed. I've been seeing him since I've been here. Is he going to be somewhere today, or is he still at the VA's hospital?
I'll let you guys have that discussion
Okay,
out
I'm just-
there. I don't know what the plan is, but I understand that they're either looking or actually have a place for him to go. And
Okay.
so you can discuss that out there. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Go off the record. Take care. Thank you all.
He'll be
Thank you, Your Honor.
in the hospital. I'll let you know.